Change is inevitable, but managing it effectively is an art. Whether you're a CEO, middle manager, HR professional, or frontline employee, understanding change management is crucial for success. Welcome to today's in-depth session on Know Everything About Change Management and how to implement the change management successfully in the organization. Change management is the structured approach to transitioning individuals, teams, and organizations from their current state to a desired future state. It involves strategies, processes, and techniques to minimize resistance and maximize success. Organizations that effectively manage change experience higher success rates, improved employee morale, and sustained business growth. Without structured change management, companies risk employee disengagement, productivity losses, and operational inefficiencies. One of the most effective ways to get employees on board with change is through a compelling change story. A well-crafted change story aligns with employees' emotions, values, and aspirations, making the transition feel necessary and meaningful. Change story must have a clear purpose. Why is the change necessary? It should have the vision for the future. What does success look like? It should define the positive impact on employees. How will it benefit individuals and teams? It should also define the role of employees. How can each person contribute? It should make a call to action. What steps need to be taken next? Please note that growth and survival require letting go of outdated methods, embracing discomfort, and committing to renewal. Leaders must inspire teams to shed old habits and adopt new strategies for long-term success. Let's talk about the Apple success story. When Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, he used a powerful narrative. Apple had lost its way, but by focusing on innovation and simplicity, they could reclaim their position as a leader in technology. Jobs' message wasn't just about profitability. It was about making products that people loved, inspiring employees to embrace change and take bold risks. Following are the practical steps for leaders to build a change story. First, understand employee concerns. Gather feedback and address doubts early. Second, use real-life examples. Show how similar changes have led to success. Third, make it personal. Share personal commitments and how leadership will support employees. Fourth, communicate frequently. Use multiple platforms, emails, town halls, small group discussions to reinforce the message. Fifth, celebrate small wins. Show progress to keep motivation high. Successful change starts from the top. Leaders must champion change and communicate its vision effectively. Without executive support, change initiatives are likely to fail. Engaging employees in the process reduces resistance and fosters a culture of adaptability. Employees who feel valued and heard are more likely to support change. Transparent, timely, and consistent communication is the backbone of any change initiative. Misinformation or lack of information can lead to confusion and resistance. Employees need the right skills and resources to adapt to change successfully. Training programs, coaching, and mentorship can ease the transition. Ongoing assessment helps identify challenges and make necessary adjustments. Change is a continuous process, not a one-time event. Under Satya Nadella's leadership, Microsoft transitioned from a competitive, rigid culture to a more collaborative and innovation-driven environment through strong leadership and employee involvement. In this section, we'll explore some of the most popular change management models. Kotta's 8-step change model emphasizes creating a sense of urgency, building a guiding coalition, developing a vision and strategy, communicating the change vision, empowering employees for action, generating short-term wins, consolidating gains, and finally, anchoring new approaches in the organizational culture. Next, we have Lewin's change management model, which is broken down into 3 stages: unfreeze, change, and refreeze. Unfreeze is about preparing the organization for change. change involves implementing new processes or behaviors, and refreeze solidifies these changes into the organizational culture. The ADICA model: awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement, provides a practical framework to manage individual transitions during change. Let's take a look at a real-world application. Digital transformation of IBM is a prime example. IBM utilized Kotter's model to transition from a hardware company to a leader in cloud-based services. Change management isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. It's crucial to tailor the process to different employee levels within the organization. Starting with senior leadership and executives, their role is to define the vision and strategic goals for the change. They must communicate the rationale for change with clarity and transparency, lead by example, and align organizational structure, policies, and culture to support the change. Middle management and supervisors act as a bridge between executives and employees. They translate strategic objectives into actionable steps for their teams, address employee concerns, provide motivation, and monitor and report feedback on challenges faced during implementation. Frontline employees need to understand and adapt to new processes or ways of working. They should engage in training programs to upskill where necessary, provide honest feedback about the changes and their impact, and participate in problem-solving discussions to improve transition efforts. To ensure successful change implementation across all levels, it's essential to focus on consistent communication, offer tailored training based on employee roles, recognize and reward contributions at every level, involve employees in decision-making where possible, and regularly assess effectiveness to make necessary adjustments. Overcoming resistance to change is a critical aspect of successful change management. One useful framework is the Kubler-Ross grief model, also known as the 5 stages of grief. Originally developed by psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in 1969 to explain the emotional response to loss and grief, this model has been widely applied in organizational change management. It helps us understand how employees react to major transformations in the workplace. When organizations undergo significant changes, such as mergers, layoffs, digital transformations, or restructuring, employees often experience emotions similar to those encountered in personal grief. Recognizing these emotional stages helps leaders and managers support their teams effectively during transitions. Denial. This isn't happening. Employees may initially resist change by refusing to acknowledge its reality. They might dismiss company announcements, ignore new processes, or continue working as if nothing is changing. For example, employees may refuse to adopt a new technology system, insisting the old one still works fine. Staff members might believe that announced layoffs or department changes will not actually happen. To manage this, provide clear, transparent communication about the change. Share compelling reasons for the transition to reduce uncertainty. Offer forums where employees can ask questions and express concerns. Anger. Why is this happening to me? Once employees accept that the change is real, frustration or resentment may arise. They might blame leadership, colleagues, or external factors for the disruption. Productivity might dip, and negative emotions could spread across teams. Examples include employees expressing frustration in meetings about the loss of familiar work processes, or teams resisting collaboration with new leadership or departments due to distrust. To manage anger, allow employees to voice concerns and frustrations. Acknowledge their emotions rather than dismissing them. Engage managers in one-on-one conversations to provide reassurance. Bargaining. Maybe if we do it differently, we won't have to change. Employees may attempt to negotiate ways to avoid or modify the change, seeking compromises that maintain elements of the old system. For instance, teams might suggest partial implementation rather than a complete shift, or employees might propose workarounds to delay using a new software system. To manage bargaining, reinforce the non-negotiable aspects of the change while allowing flexibility where possible. Encourage employees to contribute constructive ideas for implementation. Provide clear guidelines on what aspects of the transition are open for discussion. Depression. What's the point of trying? At this stage, employees may feel overwhelmed, helpless, or disengaged. Motivation drops, and productivity may suffer. Some employees may even consider quitting if they feel the change is too much to handle. Examples include employees withdrawing from discussions and showing reduced enthusiasm for their work, or the teams experiencing a noticeable decline in morale and collaboration. To manage depression, offer emotional support and empathy through open conversations. Provide coaching, training, and mentoring to boost confidence. Highlight small wins and successes to keep employees motivated. Acceptance. I see how this can work. At this final stage, employees begin to embrace the change, adjust to new ways of working, and move forward. They understand the necessity of the transition and start contributing positively. Examples include employees actively using new systems and processes without resistance, and teams collaborating to improve workflows in the new structure. To manage acceptance, reinforce positive behaviors, and recognize employees who adapt well. Continue offering training and development opportunities. Foster a culture of continuous learning and resilience for future changes. Key takeaways for leaders. Change is emotional. Employees will react differently, and their emotions must be acknowledged. Support at every stage. Managers and HR teams should guide employees through each phase with patience and communication. Encourage open dialogue. Giving employees a platform to share their concerns can ease resistance. Celebrate progress. Recognizing achievements, both big and small, helps reinforce the benefits of change. By understanding the Kubler-Ross model, organizations can navigate change more effectively while ensuring employees feel supported throughout the journey. Key performance indicators for change management are: 1. Employee engagement levels. 2nd, productivity metrics. 3rd, speed of adaptation. 4th, feedback and satisfaction surveys. And 5th one, the business impact analysis, which is very important. Please note that change management is an ongoing process, and continuous improvement approach is a must. Regular evaluations ensure that changes are effective and sustainable. Leadership plays a critical role in the success of change initiatives. Effective leaders create clarity, inspire confidence, and guide teams through uncertainty. Without strong leadership, even the best change strategies can fail. Leaders must have visionary thinking and provide a clear direction and inspire employees with a compelling future. Leaders must exhibit the empathy and emotional intelligence by understanding employee concerns and addressing their fears, can build trust. Leaders must show the decisiveness and adaptability. The ability to make tough decisions and pivot when needed is crucial in times of change. Resilience and optimism are also the qualities of great leaders who remain positive and persistent and set the same tone for the organization. Leader must have effective communication skills, and they should be clearly articulating the why behind the change keeps employees engaged. Leaders should lead by example. They should demonstrate commitment to change through actions, not just words. Empowering employees is very essential. Leaders must give teams the autonomy to innovate and contribute to change. Leaders must foster a culture of continuous learning and encourage skill development and adaptability. Leaders should recognize and reward positive change behavior and reinforce desired behaviors to sustain momentum. HR serves as the backbone of change management efforts by aligning people, processes, and policies with the organization's transformation goals. They ensure that employees understand, embrace, and successfully implement change. HR should assess the talent readiness by identifying the skill gaps and create training programs to equip employees with the necessary capabilities. HR should identify the key change ambassadors and key agents who can influence and drive adoption at all levels. HR should develop and implement communication strategies to ensure transparency among employees. HR should provide forums for employees to voice concerns and receive guidance. HR can use storytelling techniques to make change relatable and inspiring. HR should create the change resilience and support systems by establishing counseling and support mechanisms for employees struggling with change. HR should implement mentorship programs to guide employees through transitions. HR should align policies and performance metrics to reflect the new organizational culture and objectives. HR should introduce performance metrics that align with change adoption and success. HR should drive a culture of continuous improvement and promote adaptability as a core organizational value. HR should design a reward and recognition strategy and reward employees who demonstrate resilience and innovative problem solving during transitions. Remember, HR is not just a support function, but a strategic enabler of change. By fostering adaptability, clear communication, and employee engagement, HR ensures that transformation efforts lead to lasting success. Communicate clearly and transparently, and keep employees informed at every stage to minimize uncertainty and resistance. Engage employees early in the change process to gain their buy-in and reduce opposition. Provide adequate training to employees with the necessary skills and knowledge to embrace change. Leaders should embody the change they wish to see, fostering trust and commitment. Celebrate small wins and recognize and reward milestones to maintain momentum and motivation. Be flexible and adaptable and monitor progress, and be open to making adjustments when necessary. Offer emotional and professional support, and address concerns and provide counseling or coaching where needed. Never ignore employee concerns. Dismissing employee worries can lead to resistance and disengagement. Never rush the process. Please note that change should be implemented in phases to allow employees to adjust. Lack of executive sponsorship must not happen, since without leadership commitment, change efforts are likely to fail. Never overlook training needs. Please note that expecting employees to adapt without support can lead to frustration and inefficiency. Never neglect. Organizational culture always ensure that change aligns with company values and work culture. Never fail to measure success. Please note that without tracking progress, it's hard to gauge if the change is effective. Change is constant, but managing it effectively sets organizations apart. Whether you're leading or adapting, embracing change is key to long-term success.